Hi there, everybody, and welcome to Roll with Advantage. So I figured what I would do today is I would try and make as short a video as I can on how to create a character the best way possible in 2023, 2024. And for me, the best way possible to make that D&D character, if you're new to the tabletop RPG, specifically 5th edition, you're not sure where to start, the best place to start, honestly, is with D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond has all the steps, all the pieces you need to be able to make a character quickly, efficiently, and correctly, right? I still do think that the best way you can do it is by getting the player's handbook, whatever expansion module you want, sitting down with a piece of paper, and writing all that stuff out, because that is how you're going to remember all of your features and traits without having to reference back on the character sheet, right? You're going to know that stuff. So after you make your character on D&D Beyond, I still recommend you go back and do that once you have all the information laid out. But for now, this is fine. So what we have here is we are right on D&D Beyond's page, right? We just looked up, right, on a new tab, dndbeyond.com, and boom, we're here. Okay. So we're going to start here. And what we're going to do is we are going to register for an account. And I will go ahead and sign up with Google. So I'll go ahead and use Roll with Advantage. All right, and then we get to choose a username, RWA. Sure, does that work? Username taken, no, RWA, GG. There we go. All right, cool. So D&D Beyond is a subscription-based website. So there are things you can purchase specifically on D&D Beyond, like the expansion modules, but then also you can purchase a subscription to share the material you've purchased with other players if you're DMing, or you can purchase a subscription for players specifically that allows you to create an unlimited number of characters, right? So with a free membership, you are limited to the amount of characters you can pick. Okay, so then we'll go to D&D Beyond. Oh, that's crazy. This link is broken. So this is something I noticed earlier when I was running through this. That link is broken. D&D Beyond should get on that. But what we're going to do is we're going to click characters. Okay. Now, characters, we've got nothing here. There's a whole bunch of stuff up here. We don't need to worry about any of it. We are where we need to be to create a character. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a character. And here we go. This is immediately where the meat and potatoes is, okay? We can do pre-made, we can do quick build, we can do standard, or randomize. Randomize is a lot of fun, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to go to standard, okay? If you don't want to follow along in the video anymore, you're like, okay, well, I know how to get there now. They also had a button you could press back there to toggle beginner help, okay? But what we need to do now is we need to actually make our character. So before you get to this point, what you really should have done is you should have an idea, right? You should be like, I want to be a half-orc barbarian. Cool, perfect, amazing. Or I want to be a high elf sorcerer. You should have that idea before you get here, but be open to changing it as you read through and explore more things. So we're going to name this character Elizabeth. So we have Elizabeth here. All right. So Elizabeth is the character that we're going to be making. This stuff on this page is incredibly important for what type of content your character is using and how things are going to work. Some of these things are up to your DM, so be sure to ask your DM before you start making your character. But big thing right off the bat, we're going to disable Magic the Gathering content, Eberron, and Dragonlance. Leave all of this stuff ticked off unless your DM says it's okay, right? There's nothing worse than coming to the table with a character you're super stoked to play, and your DM says, sorry, I don't use Critical Role content at my table, right? So just ask first, okay? Partnered content, not going to worry about that. Dice rolling, we want that on because that's just fun, right? To get the little clicky clackies on the screen. Optional features, these are also up to your DM. Most DMs use these, but they may or may not, so leave those off for now. Pretty much optional class features, something that they added recently is the ability to swap out a class feature for a certain archetype or a certain class. In favor of a different one, giving the player a little bit more customability over their character. Customize your origin, same thing. Advancement based, advancement type, I would just use milestone, unless your DM says otherwise for XP, right? We're gonna leave it at milestone. Hit point value. This is something you're going to want to ask your DM. Fixed means it will take the average every single time you level. So every single time you level up in D&D, same as how you would in like an RPG, your hit points go up, right? Take more hits. In D&D though, you roll a dice to determine what increment your health increases by. So fixed HP, your character will increase by the average of whatever die is your hit die, which we'll talk about in a second. So prerequisites, feats, multi-class requirements. We'll probably want both of these ticked on, right? Just right off the bat. Of course, ask your DM. Encumbrance, use encumbrance. Don't ignore coin weight. Modifiers on top. This is what I prefer, but say you build your character sheet and you get to this point and you're like, oh, actually, you know what? I like the scores to be above and the modifiers to be below. You can do that whatever way you want. Okay. All right. So we have Elizabeth. Then we're going to move over to race. Okay. So Elizabeth, let's see. These are all the free races that are available in the open source content. So you know what? Let's go ahead and make Elizabeth a tiefling. All right. So tieflings have dark vision, hellish resistance, infernal legacy. Okay. So I don't really care right now in my head. I'm like, I don't really care about the mechanics too much. I just want to make the character I have in my mind. Okay. We're going to choose race. All right. Okay, so they get these things. So they have dark vision. And now's the point when you could probably read this. Like, oh, dark vision. Oh, they can see in the dark. That's kind of cool. Hellish resistance. Oh, resistance to fire damage. That sounds awesome. And infernal legacy. You know the thaumaturgy cantrip. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast the hellish rebuke spell. So there's stuff there, right? There's abilities you get from choosing your race. Cool. Then instead of going to class, this is a preference for me. We're going to go to description. Okay. And we're going to choose a background right now, okay? So we have these ones to choose from. Backgrounds are a great launch point for your character's backstory, right? You might have an idea, like, I kind of want my tiefling to be a, oh man, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking a druid. That sounds kind of cool because then, you know, like any of the animals they turn into, maybe they're like they're kind of red, you know, maybe they kind of look a little like demonic. That'd be kind of cool. So it's like, okay, well, if we want to make a tiefling druid, what do we want to do here? Haunted one, sage, right? Because then we need to start asking important questions about her backstory. So I'm going to go ahead and say criminal spy. That sounds really interesting to me, right? We have a tiefling druid, right? If I still want to do druid, who is working for some like underground nature syndicate, right? Where they're like eco-terrorists. So Elizabeth here is just going absolutely crazy, and is turning into, you know, bears and lions and vultures, and she's doing all this really cool stuff, and destroying the people that are trying to destroy her home. I love that. I think that's great. Okay. You'll choose a couple of things here, right? It gives you proficiencies. It gives you proficiencies in deception and stealth, which are skills that you have in the game. Okay. And then we are going to choose a dice set. Sure, she's proficient in dice. We'll come back to these a little bit later, but I just wanted to get these proficiencies first before we move on to class. There are tons of classes to choose from, hundreds of ways to flavor your character. So I said druid, so we're going to go to druid. Now, druid's primary ability is wisdom. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and add that class. And then here we go. This is why we picked our background a little bit earlier. Proficiencies, right? That way we end up not having our proficiencies overlap and we're being a little optimal, right? So I want to do survival. I think that's important for this character. And let's do insight. Right? They're good of telling people have lied. Okay, we're going to start this character at level 1, but if your character does level up on the character page, you easy enough can go to level and you can hit 2 and you'll get your new feature there. Okay, but we're starting at level 1. Okay, level 1, we got all that stuff picked out. We got druidic and we have spellcasting. Okie dokie. So then we move to abilities. Now, this is another point of contention that you'll have to ask your DM about, but you need to pick how you're going to be rolling stats. Might be standard array, right? Where you just have a collection of numbers from 8 to 15, and then you assign those numbers where you want them. Could be manual or rolled, right? Most DMs, and I'm pretty sure it's what D&D Beyond does, yep, We'll do 4d6, drop the lowest. So you will roll 4d6s, these sort of standard die, and then you'll add up. You'll look at all those totals, and then you'll drop the lowest number, and then you'll add the other 3 together to give you your ability scores. Because that means that you can have a maximum of 18 or a minimum of 3. So hopefully you don't get any 3s, and hopefully you get all the 18s, but there adds a little bit of chaos to making characters that way. That's up to your DM for the ease of today. We're going to do standard array. The only other one is point buy. Point buy allows you to get the same distribution as standard array. But like an RPG, when you're making your character at the very beginning, right, in like a video game, you can choose to put points into whatever you want them to be, right? So I can have, let's see, I can have 3 15s, but then I also have 3 8s. So, right, I can really have some spikes and some really, really bad valleys. So we're going to go with standard array. All right. Now let's scroll down a bit. Okay, so we get a bonus to intelligence and charisma as a tiefling. So that definitely does make things a little rough for us, but that's okay. We are going to go with 15 in wisdom. We are going to go with 14 in constitution, right? Because these stats, I think they're pretty self-explanatory, but just in case, strength is your character's like physical raw strength, how much they can lift, carry, how hard they hit. Dexterity is how lithe they are, how hard they are to hit. Constitution, how many hits they can take. Intelligence, how smart they are, right? How much information can they hold and comprehend, right? Intelligence is exactly what it says it is. Wisdoms, you could think of it like street smarts, but it's an ability to infer, right? Common sense is a great way to think about that, right? I may not understand or I may not know how to read, but I understand people. I understand nature. I understand ideas rather well. And then charisma, your ability to talk and communicate your own ideas. So, right, with a druid, charisma might not be too important, but as a tiefling, we're already naturally charismatic, so maybe we can kind of lean into that a bit. Let's do 13, right, because that'll bring us up to 15. We maybe want to be a little bit smart. Dexterity's kind of low, and strength's kind of low, all right? So maybe we'll swap these. So that way our AC is not totally awful. We are a spellcaster, so we might be on the back line a bit more, but also as a druid, we have some features we get later on that might not worry us too much, okay? But we have our stats now, which is awesome. One thing I do want to highlight that you should probably do as you're going through your character creation process is go to the, when you're making your character here, put your character up to like 6th level initially, right? Regardless of what level you start at, do it a couple levels before, so that way you can get an idea of what you're going to get later on down the road. Give you something to look forward to, and also give you an idea of like, okay, this is what level I need to be to get this. So that's something I can really look forward to, and that's something I can strive for. Bonus points if you weave learning that into the role play, right? You don't do anything mechanically with those features because you haven't unlocked them, but you start to like hint at them. That's some top tier stuff. So then we go to description, right? We've been here before. Okay, so with Elizabeth, right? She doesn't have a last name. I might change her name later on. I don't know if Elizabeth really fits an eco-terrorist, but we'll stick with it for now. All right, so criminal, spy, thieves' tools, dice set. All right, so every background has a feature, right? And then when you're using that feature, it's an ability you have like your druidic spellcasting or being able to use thaumaturgy as a tiefling, right? It's a feature that you can use in-game to try and get a positive reaction or get something for you and your party. With a criminal / spy in particular, they have criminal contract, right? If you'd like to read that, you can go ahead and pause and do so now. It's a feature you get. It's very helpful. Suggested characteristics. These are not necessary to use, but I find they are incredibly helpful in role-playing your character at the very beginning of a campaign, right? The character you're playing at session 0 and session 1 has never been played before, has never existed before you are playing them in that moment. These are great at giving yourself a launch pad, right? You might ignore these past session 6, but that's because you have a much better idea of how you want to play the character. So you're going to choose 2 of these, one of these, one of these, one of these, right? These are personality traits, how your character acts, ideals, what they hold that is valuable to them, bonds, what they're connected to, and flaws, what pain points they have, right? Where do they suffer, right? So reading through these, I'd rather make a new friend than a new enemy. I don't pay attention to the risk of the situation. Never tell me the odds, right? Some of these you have to be a little bit careful about so you're not a problem player, but trust yourself. Try not to be an asshole. Just if you stick to those 2 things, you'll probably be okay. Ideals. Okay. So we have some things here for a criminal spy, right? A lawful criminal. I think that's really interesting, right? It's not the city's laws. It's their own laws that they hold themselves to. That's kind of fun. Charity. I steal from the wealthy so I can help people in need. Robin Hood there. Greed. I'll do whatever it takes to become wealthy. People I'm loyal to my friends, not ideals. There's a spark of good in everyone. Oh, here we go. Freedom. Chains are meant to be broken and those who would forge them. Yeah, that's perfect for our eco-terrorist druid. Okay. Bonds. What is important to us? I'm the greatest thief. I'm guilty of a terrible crime. I love someone, died because of a mistake. That'll never happen again. Ooh, yeah, that's tragic. That's juicy, right? You did an eco-terrorism thing in a city, and it just so happened that your brother was there. Oh my God. What was he doing in the city? No. The tragedy. It's so juicy. I love it. And then flaws, right? What negative thing is happening to your character or what makes them not a perfect person, right? Because it's not fun for everybody at the table. And for you, if your character is the perfect person, right? If they are the best of the best, the creme de la creme, and there's nothing wrong with them, it's kind of boring, right? Great characters have flaws. And great DMs will use your flaws to inspire change and to inspire conflict in your character, right? What happens when your flaws are challenged by the party? Not in a negative way, like, hey, stop stealing that, you idiot, but in a way where it is a choice your character has to make between choosing to assist the party or assist a person, help someone in need, do something good, right? Because D&D ultimately at the end of the day is a game for heroes. Or do they go back to their flaw, right? And your character should always be trying to strive to be that path of a hero, or should be trying to help or aid the party, right? It's not fun if the player is antagonistic to the party a lot of the time, right? If the DM is forcing you, pushing you that point, and it is a huge climactic moment, you want to make that a moment for your character where they overcome their flaws and they strive to be something better. That's beautiful, right? Money. Can't get better than that. So let's see what flaws we have here. I'll turn tail and run when things look bad. That I think is fine, right? And then we have alignment, faith, lifestyle. So in D&D, alignment is broken down into 9 separate categories, right? And we have a video about this on the channel. It's how to choose a character with 2 alignments, where in the video, another person who works on the channel, Mark, he talks about how you can choose either one primary alignment and a secondary one. So, right, your primary alignment might be lawful good, right? Where you are a valiant protector of the law, right? That's what you are. You are lawful good. You will do everything you can to uphold the law and to be good. But there might be times where that lawful good shifts to true neutral, right? True neutral being, I will do what is best for me in that moment. It is not good, it is not bad, but it is the optimal path. And I'm going to ignore what's good and bad. I'm going to ignore law and chaos. I'm going to do what is optimal for me and what is most balanced and most fair, okay? So that's a great video. I'll go ahead and link that up there. Yeah, boop, boop, boop. It'll probably be flashing up there right now, but you'll choose your alignment. So for our character, we're going to go with, I kind of like lawful neutral because it's not the city's laws, it's their laws, right? What is right by them. I really like that. I think that's really cool. A quick caveat. try not to make evil characters unless that's something everybody is on board with from the very beginning. Because there's nothing worse than when, you start a game and like one person is like, yeah, I'm a paladin. I want to be a hero. I want to save people. And you have another person who's like, I'm going to kill all these people and take over this town. Hopefully nobody at your table sounds like that. But if they do, right, that's not very fun. Faith, what type of gods do your character worship? Lifestyle. This is another thing you may want to bring up with your DM, right? Because some DMs choose to have a different distribution of wealth within a campaign. That's something they may choose to modify. But you can choose here pretty much how much starting gold your character has. So we're going to go poor. That makes sense for our character, right? Eco-terrorists, they don't have much with them. Physical characteristics, here you can start to describe your character. Here are these personality characteristics. And then finally, notes. In your talks with your DM before the game starts, if you have any important allies, organizations, enemies, any important backstory stuff or other, you can go ahead and put those there. But then we move up to equipment, right? And this is the last step before your character is ready to play at level 1. So you can either choose starting equipment or starting gold. This is something that's up to the DM. If they're okay with you doing gold, pretty much the game will give you a randomized sum of gold based off your class and background, and I believe your wealth status, and then you can buy equipment, right? You can say, okay, I have 250 gold and I want to buy these few things for my adventure, right? Most of the time, though, it's best just to choose equipment because it'll give you some really important things, especially for early games. So we're going to choose starting equipment, okay? So Druid starting equipment. We're going to go with any simple weapon. We're going to go with what do we want to go with? A sickle, sure. So our character has a sickle. Then we're going to do another simple melee weapon. We're going to do a quarterstaff. Nice. And then leather armor and explorer's pack and a druidic focus. Nice. And then what we need to do is we need to pick our druidic focus. So every spellcasting class has a focus that they use, right? So you can think of this like in Harry Potter, how the wizards in Harry Potter use wands, right? That is a focus, right? Their magic is channeled through the wand. If you think of other characters from pop culture, right? Gandalf, the magic seems to be channeled through the staff, okay? So when we talk about focuses, we need to think about how do we want to flavor our character spellcasting, right? So do we want it to be a yew wand, a wooden staff, a totem of sprig of mistletoe? I mean, I think that might be kind of cool if, our tiefling, they have like different pieces of nature and flowers sort of woven into their hair. And anytime they go to cast a spell, they just kind of twist something off and sprinkle it. I think that's really cool. So we're going to go with a sprig of mistletoe. Okie dokie. And then it'll give us a crowbar, a set of dark and common clothes, including a hood, and then a pouch with 15 gold. Ooh, very nice. So then with that, we'll add the starting equipment. It'll add it all to our backpack. Look at all this dope stuff we got. We'll go ahead and equip our leather armor. We will wield our quarterstaff. And what's next? We will view our character sheet. Look at that. Wow. +1 to initiative. Hit points. This is it. We got it. We're here. This is the character sheet. This is what you're going to be spending so much of your time as a player looking at. There's only one more thing we have to do as spellcasters in particular. Druids prepare spells, okay? Oh, but they get spells at first level. So what we need to do is we will come to the right here, right, where it says spells, and we'll go to manage spells, okay, and then known spells. This is where we're going to pick our cantrips and we're going to prepare spells. So druids are one of a very few breed in D&D where you actually prepare the spells based off a huge list, right? So druids and clerics can change out their spells any given day from a wide list, right? Because druids and clerics are both full spellcasters. So starting at level 1, they get spells right off the bat. So what you need to worry about right now is at first level, you have cantrips and then you have prepared first level spells. So cantrips are spells you can cast an unlimited number of times to no detriment to yourself or anybody else. So, well, I guess that's not entirely true because some people are going to be experiencing detriments from your cantrips, because you can choose damaging cantrips, right? Our character is not very strong. They're not very dexy. They're going to kind of struggle to deal some damage early level if they don't have any spells left. So we're going to use our cantrips. So we kind of need to think, what kind of spells do we want our character to have? So we've got a whole bunch of cantrips here to choose from. I recommend reading through a lot of these, seeing which ones fit you best, because I know all of these spells. I'm going to go with Frostbite. Oh wait, actually, no, we're not going to go with Frostbite. Just kidding. We're going to go with Druidcraft, just because I love Druidcraft as a cantrip. And then we are going to do Produce Flame. I like that one. So we have a flavorful cantrip that allows us to do some cool things that isn't necessarily doesn't have a mechanical advantage in combat. And then we also have a damaging cantrip to fall back onto if we run out of spell slots during combat. And then we need to choose our first level spells. Now these change every single day. Whenever your character wakes up from a long rest, your character can change these out. So we're going to say that before the campaign starts, we're going to have the spells that would deal damage to structures, okay? Because that's what they're in the business of. So we're going to have Earth Tremor. That seems pretty good. And we'll also have Entangle. Yeah, because if they're running away, they do something bad, boom, Entangle on the ground, they can get away a little bit easier. Okay, but then we have our 2 cantrips and our 2 first level spells. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. We get to prepare 3 spells. Woo. So 3 spells. What do we want our other first level spell to be? Thunderwave. Yeah, there you go. 2 damaging ones and 1 mechanical combat spell to sort of stop people in their tracks. So we have our 3 cantrips, right? Thaumaturgy comes from being a tiefling. Produce Flame, Druidcraft. Then we have our 3 first level spells. So we can see that we can prepare that many spells by going to known spells, and then it'll tell us prepared spells right here. Okay. So, oh, wait a minute. Let me go ahead and move me out of the way. Move over here. Right. So we can see prepared spells over here. Okie dokie. So with that done, we are looking pretty good. Alrighty. So like I said, if you want to edit anything, or you decide like, you know what, actually, I don't really like that, you're going to go up to the hammer and anvil up here. And this is where you can make any edits to your character sheet that you want at all, right? Everything can be edited from there. But other than that, that is it. You've made your character sheet on D&D Beyond. This process probably will take you 35 minutes to an hour, depending on how much stuff your character has, right? A level 1 fighter takes a lot less time to make than a level 1 druid, right? Level 1 druid or cleric, you have so many spells to pick from, so many features you should read through, magical abilities. Fighters, they fight, they swing, and that is what they mostly do starting at first level. But that's it. That is everything. So clocking in at just under a half an hour, right? If I can do it in about 25 minutes, you can do it in even a little bit longer. But in time, you'll know everything and it'll be super easy. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave those down in the comments. I'd be more than happy to be of assistance in any way that I can. I hope this video is helpful to you. If it was helpful, feel free to subscribe. The channel mostly has our D&D sessions on it for Roll with Advantage, but I want to do more of this helpful content to new players because I know what it can feel like to enter this wide world and know nothing, and I want to help people. I spent most of my life as an educator so far, so I want to try and help people in whatever way I can. So thanks for watching. If you liked, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to like the video, share it with somebody that you know is getting into D&D, or with your players that are interested in playing with you. And hopefully in the future, I'll be able to go through more of what D&D Beyond has to offer, different modules. And if you have any suggestions that you'd like to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments. So with that, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.